The SS United States is a ship you have likely heard of before from the many videos online discussing her. Unfortunately, this incredible vessel is currently at risk of either being sunk or scrapped unless enough money can be raised to both find a new home for the ship as well as move her there. I got to see this ship in person earlier this year when I was in Philadelphia for the USS New Jersey being moved into dry dock, and I want to do my part to ensure that millions more can continue to see her and possibly even go on board a rebuilt version of the SS United States. During my recent charity stream trying to help raise money to ensure this can occur, I spoke with Stanton Daywalt, who co-authored a book on the ship and has been on board several times. Please enjoy a condensed version of that interview, which I think gives further insight into both the legacy of the SS United States as well as what she can become if we are able to save her. So, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and a little bit about the SS United States?
Sure. So my name's Stanton Daywalt. I'm a advisory council member as well as a co-chair of the Hampton Roads chapter of the Conservancy. I've been following the ship since 1989 when she was moved from Norfolk to Newport News. And then I did see her when she was towed over to Turkey and then the Ukraine for asbestos remediation. And I saw her again for the first time after probably 20 years back in 2012, 2013. And I've been on board the ship multiple times. I've also written a book about the United States, co-authored between two other people. And I've been following the ship for 35, 36 years now.
I was curious to see, coming from somebody directly involved with the ship, why it is that you think it's worth saving.
Well, I mean, she is American built. All 50 states, well, 48 states at the time, I should say, had a hand in her construction. She's in the same similar vein as Titanic, but different, of course, that she didn't sink. She's the only remaining true ocean liner that was built in America. All the rest have either been scrapped or lost to time. Again, she was also a marvel of engineering for the 1950s after the United States came out of World War II and the Great Depression. The 50s was a kind of a high time for the country. And she epitomized that. She was both a marvel of steam engineering as well as mid-century modern design, which I believe is now starting to kind of make a comeback. But yeah, I mean, she's one of a kind. She certainly deserves to be saved. The Conservancy, wants to have a museum on board to highlight her engineering and her decor for the time. It's just, a really important vessel in terms of what she epitomizes. Like I said, she was also built to Navy specifications. She had dual engine rooms. There was a lot of firsts on her. The first ship to be air conditioned. Just so many others that I actually can't think of right now. But the fact that she's still around with us is, even after 50 years of being inactive, certainly says something to both the fact of her resilience and the fact that she was so well built. A lot of things these days don't last that long, but the United States certainly does.
To go into what you were saying about her design and everything like that, how is the interior? You said you've been on board. I know that they tore out a lot of that during, I assume, the asbestos removal and things like that.
Right. So in the 90s, she was towed over. She was supposed to go to Turkey for asbestos remediation, but then she was moved over to Ukraine for that. So, like I said, all that asbestos, the walls and everything, she was built to Navy specifications. So part of that was extensive fireproofing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, in the 50s, fireproofing meant asbestos.
Yeah.
So all of that's been ripped out. But as far as what remains, the structural load-bearing walls and bulkheads still remain. When you do go on board, you can still see the outline of the passenger rooms on the floor, as well as where the bathrooms and showers and toilets were. You can still see, like in the dining rooms, the posts in the floor where the tables were set, so that way they wouldn't roll or slide during stormy weather. There's still bars are still located on there. One was taken out during the 80s, but other bars with their sinks and stainless steel cabinetry still exist in there. The anchor chains, they're all still in there. The engines, the boilers, the reduction gears, those are all still intact. Her turbo generators are there. There's still majority of the condensers. Some of those, they're known as the water boxes. They're the outer shell, so to speak, of the condenser, which goes underneath the main engines. The water boxes were removed and scrapped, but the condenser sheet metal that condensed the steam back into regular water is still in there. Of course, the propeller shafts are still there. I've been in the steering gear room, the rams that would turn the rudder. There are still quite a bit to see. It's just the interior walls and the decorations basically are what is what's gone.
The good thing, though, is with removing all of that, I would assume that would actually be a big step towards her rebuilding potentially, because asbestos removal is not a cheap thing to do. So having that already done and the ship largely stripped, even though a lot of that original interior has been lost, I would assume that actually sets her up better for restoration than something that has just been sitting there with the asbestos still inside.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe in the 90s, asbestos remediation in the States would have been like 110 million alone.
Yeah.
Now, whatever that translates 30 years later, I'm not sure. But yes, the fact that all of that's been removed, the EPA has even gone aboard and done some air quality tests, passed with flying colors. So, I mean, yeah, she's set up to be reimagined in any way that a developer, a city with waterfronts capable of handling her, turning her into a mixed use hotel, destination, convention center. There's even talk of putting like a distillery in there, as well as a museum, of course.
Speaking of that, are you familiar with any of the extra details of that? I know there's some like preliminary announcements that they made, but I assume that there's not really much information on that yet, especially considering right now it's more of a we need to save the ship, not so much a focus on the restoration aspect.
Right. So, I mean, back, I want to say in January, maybe even November of last year, there was a presentation because the Conservancy had partnered with RXR to formulate a plan to rehabilitate her. And I believe you can still find that video on YouTube. Okay. It's about an hour long, and they go into pretty decent detail with renderings and whatnot, with what RXR in conjunction with the Conservancy, as well as a hotel group, we're looking at to do for the ship. I don't know if you had noticed the lifeboats have been removed, and part of the design was to reincorporate lifeboats, but they would have been becoming a hotel room in of itself, like a high-end hotel room with a view of whatever city she would end up in. The beauty of the RXR plan is New York, certainly would be preferred just because that is her home port, but the design is considered turnkey, meaning that any port with a deep water dock and division to see it through could easily take those plans and apply them to any other city.
Yeah, that is a very cool that idea there. That would be a very, very cool thing to be able to stay at. Yeah, I agree with the New York would be a very, we were mentioning that in chat as well, that that was such a big port back in the
Hmm.
day for things like the SS United States. So it would be a very amazing place to have her. But like you're saying, any sort of port city could house that. And it would be a very big draw, I would imagine, in terms of tourism. And it would probably help the economy of whatever city. So it's certainly something that I think if we can help generate the interest to get more people aware of what's going on, you get the right person's interest, and they can push things through and get something like that to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the Queen Mary in Long Beach, it's post COVID, she's reopened back up, and to record numbers. They host concerts, Halloween parties, all kinds of themed attractions and whatnot. And we would certainly like to be on the East Coast side, have something like that as a destination. It would certainly create 100, if not a couple thousand jobs. Um, as far as bringing in money into local economy of the particular city she lands in, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to having her. We just, like you said, need a city with the vision
Mm-hmm.
and the wherewithal to see that through.
Yeah, so I think that's about all the questions I have for you. I know you didn't have too much time to stop in here, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But did you have anything else that you want to bring up about the ship? Anything that you think people can do to kind of help raise awareness about this, that sort of thing?
Certainly. Well, first and foremost, it would be writing either to your local, state, or federal government representative, either in your state or say New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, and letting them know, about the United States, your interest in it, what you'd like to see, and then of course as well as spreading the word outside, the Facebook ocean liner groups. They're very aware of the United States, but it's also wanting to be able to reach out beyond the ocean liner groups
Yeah.
to followers such as your group, um, to raise that awareness. And that's certainly something that we're looking to do, as well as, we do need to move the ship. Like you said, that is right now job one. Once we're able to do that, then we can redouble our efforts to finding a permanent home for the ship. And like everything, that takes money. So we are asking for donations, because it could cost upward of about $500,000 to move the ship. That does vary on distance. The last I've understood is we're between probably 100 and 200,000 so far raised.
Okay.
So we're well on our way there. Um, but yeah, visit ssusc.org, and go there and you can donate. You can learn more about the ship. There's merchandise there as well that you can certainly purchase. It's a good site, as well as Facebook, Instagram, all those social media sites. The Conservancy does have a presence there as well.
Yeah, if you have any final comments or anything like that, and then I think I can let you go.
Okay. Yeah, well, again, appreciate you hosting this, as well. Just the book I wrote, SS United States, an operational guide to America's flagship. You can find this on Amazon. You can actually purchase it directly through me. I can give you a signed copy, sell you a signed copy, and then a percentage of the sales do go to the Conservancy to also, of course, help keep the ship afloat.
Okay, yeah, so that's for anybody who was mentioning they were having trouble doing their donations because of either your credit card or something like that. That's another opportunity. You can get the book and learn about the ship as well as help support the efforts. So that's definitely something. What I mentioned, I would be uploading this as a separate video, probably a little bit more condensed, and
Sure.
I'll be sure to link that in the description so that anybody can pick up a copy of that. I hope you all enjoyed that interview. As mentioned at the end, please check out the SS United States Conservancy's website as well as the book, which I will link in the description below. If you can, I also ask that you consider donating to the effort to save the ship, or at least help us spread the message about this fundraising effort. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully we can look back on this as a successful push to save a piece of history from being lost.